Hi there, this is Alfie Whattam. I'm London's tech recruiter and the host of the London Technology podcast, where I speak to different tech leaders across London and the surrounding areas like Alex. Alex, thanks for joining us. Could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so thanks for bringing me on board.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm the CTO of a startup in London, which is Bearing Points Media. So what we do at Bearing Point at the moment is just doing apps, and the one which you've just released, it's the Read App Lounge, which is a social engagement app. And what it does is it just aggregates people with different interests. And then, they come into the app, they share sort of moments, they talk about the past experiences and then have a discussion. And, there's sort of the usual chat, the usual review and the usual ratings and all that. So that's what goes on there.
Okay, awesome. All right. So we're recording this, Alex, during lockdown. What's your lockdown experience been like?
I would say it's okay. Having said that, you realize it comes with challenges.
Yeah.
Normally my duty involves, engaging software engineers, aggregating them, instead of, reading documentations, we would rather, one-to-one on a group basis, plan, estimate, to a bottlenecks and all that. But this is removed, and at the same time, as a tech lead, I've got to engage these people. So instead of getting a group of people, 10, 12 together, now, have to engage them, not on a group basis, one-to-one basis. So that is it. But other than that, I think it's, it makes me work more, or, the I would normally be working maybe 5-6 hours maximum a day, but you end up working about 10 hours,
Yeah.
every day. So in terms of productivity, I think it's good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I hear that quite a lot, Alex, because obviously when people are not commuting, when they're waking up at home, working at home and going to sleep at home, a lot of people
Sure.
don't really have that break, and they just end up working all the time and non-stop, myself included, I've got to admit. So obviously you've raised a good point, and it's obviously important for people to try and have a bit of break, stay sane
Sure.
and everything. But definitely productivity has gone up for a lot of people because of that. So a lot of people that watch these videos, Alex, they're IT graduates, they're quite new to the industry. Obviously you're a CTO, you've been doing this for quite a long time. Have you got any advice for people that are just starting in their tech careers?
Yeah, I think, what I have to, tell these young, men and women is they really have to be motivated and make sure they're on the right path. What's happening now is, there's a lot of competition. So if you don't take the right sort of path, and if you do not, enjoy what you're doing, you can easily, give up. And the as we all realize, the market now, it's a very, very difficult and it's very
Yeah.
competitive market. And the reason being is, as an employer, you can seek employees all over the world. It's not just in the United Kingdom. So you realize that when you apply, you're applying for someone in Singapore, or applying someone from it could be, South Korea, Japan. So what that means is you've really got to be motivated. And again, what I tell these sort of, new graduate recruits coming up is it's easy to learn than, those days when we started. Just pick up, go on the internet, do a bit of research, just try and, any little thing that you can, outside your normal work would really help. So it's just a passion, being passionate about what you want to do, and make sure you choose the right thing, which will lead you into the future, not just for a couple of years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Being motivated, being passionate, always be learning. Those are obviously great pieces of advice. And so if we were to look into your crystal ball into the future, are there any cutting edge technologies that you're excited about, that you're passionate about, that you think will have a big impact on the future?
I suppose the technology which I will, it's not just one, because we work with hybrid, technology these days, but any sort of technology that enhances performance. it's that sort of area that I would want people to focus and concentrate on. So having said that, you look for, technologies that can allow you to manage risks. Risk management is, one area in software development, which we particularly, pay attention at. So what that means that instead of, creating websites, we don't build websites anymore. We build services, and within services, we build modules, we build microservices. So I'm looking at, areas of development of, any technology that, microservices as an architecture, and you can implement it in, several sort of, programming, environments and platforms. So these are the sort of areas I would encourage, these guys to look into. And again, looking at very high, my career started at the front end with JavaScript, which I'm very passionate, more than 2 decades I'm still writing. But then when the whole sort of technology ecosystem realized how powerful and, it is, it moved, onto the server side, Node.js, so JavaScript moved on there. And as a result, we have a lot of, JavaScript frameworks on the server, and a lot of configurations, for even, server sides, using all these sort of files. We call them YAML files, or we call them all these, containers and, orchestrations. They all work on configurations, and these work on JavaScript object files. So I suppose, JavaScript, it is, and it will become the de facto.
Yes, no, absolutely. I noticed when you mentioned JavaScript, you've actually got a book about JavaScript next to you.
Oh yes, I've got all of them. The last 2 decades, I've maybe a little bit more. My thesis, I've got them all there. If I take you to the back, you see a huge pile of programming. So I'm very passionate. I started programming a very long time, and despite being a CTO, I still like to program.
Yes.
I enjoy it. I still do my sort of high level POCs, and I'm always with the guys, working.
Absolutely. And it goes back to your point earlier about always be learning, always be reading about new technologies and platforms and tools, whether that's microservices, JavaScript, or whatever. Always be keeping up to date with the latest and greatest tech.
Certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for taking the time to have a quick chat to get your ideas and insights and thoughts. I'll tag you on LinkedIn when this goes out so people can reach out if they've got questions.
Okay, that's fine.
Awesome. But thanks again, and thank you to everybody for watching.
It's a pleasure. Bye-bye.